If your business feels busy and expensive, your tools and time are probably misaligned. But if you don't know how they're impacting your business, you can't fix it, which is why you need the time and tools self-audit. Cut unnecessary software and reclaim time for high-value work. Get your time and tools self-audit for free at streamlined.fm/impact. Start eliminating waste today and actually free up your time. Again, that's streamlined.fm/impact for your free time and tools self-audit template. Hey everybody, we've got a special episode for you today. It's a case study episode. I have a former client on, Laura Brazan. She is the host of the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren podcast. And as you can imagine, based on the name of her show, she's got a full plate. She is raising her grandchildren. She's also taking care of her mother. She is taking care of multiple generations inside of her household. But she also has this fantastic resource for people who are in a similar situation through her podcast. When she came to me, she was feeling stressed and overwhelmed, unsure about the tools she was using, and unsure about how she could continue to do the show without burning out. And so over the course of a few months of coaching, we were able to simplify her tech stack, save her money, take things off of her plate by automating them. And now she has the time and space to both spend with her family as well as think about the impact her show is making. So I'll let Laura do most of the talking, but I wanted to set this up because I want you to start thinking about how you can do the same thing for your podcast, your content, your services, your business in 2026. And I've prepared a little free self-assessment, something that I did with Laura and something that I encourage all of my clients to do. A few questions that you can ask yourself to go into 2026 with a better handle on how you work so that you can make the most impact in your business. Go over to streamlined.fm/impact and join my mailing list. You'll get that free self-assessment. But for now, let's get into the intro and then the interview. Look, you're trying to grow your small business while still having a life and not losing your sanity. On Streamlined Solopreneur, we help small business owners grow without burning out through simple, powerful online automations and systems. I know you're busy, so let's get started. All right. I am so excited to have Laura Brazan on the show. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. It's so nice to see you, Joe.
Likewise. So people will have gotten this from the cold open, but we worked together. You hired me as a podcast coach earlier in 2025. And so I thought it would be great to catch up, see where you're at, and kind of talk about your journey from before we worked together to after, and then your plans for the future. So let's start with, what is your show and why did you start it?
It's a show for grandparents raising grandchildren, which honestly, I never thought that I would be doing this. But suddenly, out of the blue, my husband and I got into a situation where we needed to take on our grandchildren. And when that happened, that world was totally unfamiliar to me. I had no idea that there were over 2.4 million people in the US raising their grandchildren. And it was such a difficult process for me to walk through. I did not want to waste my pain. And so I thought, I need to find a way to reach other grandparents that are going through the same sort of things that I am. Community, estrangement, all the issues that happen when you take on this role. I thought other people need me. I need other people. They need to hear this information. And so I felt that if I was going to do this, and I knew nothing about the world of podcasting, I knew a little bit enough about technical stuff to get me in trouble, that I needed to consult professionals. And so I got a professional and worked with the University of Montana, which was where I was based out of at the time I started the podcast, and got advice on how to start a quality show. Because when I had done the research, I found out that the few shows that were online were dead. They might have had a few episodes broadcast, and I didn't want to be another person out there that was producing a bad quality show. I wanted to design it to be successful so that it could be carried on if I decided that I couldn't do this any longer. And I invested some money to do it, so I didn't want my money to be wasted, honestly.
It kind of feels like you were thrown into this, just a tough situation. And I love that one of your earlier thoughts was, I also want to help people who are in this situation. And I want to learn as much as I can about this situation.
Right. And that's how I approach everything that I do in life. If it's something I really want to solve, I get to the bottom of building a foundation that's strong, and I want to move my way up. And this was totally foreign to me, the issues involved. And there are just, quite frankly, not many resources out there for us folks that are doing this. And it's taken a lot of work. It's been a hard 3.5 years. And the kids are just getting stable. And a lot of times I feel like I'm really doing this for my own sanity,
Yeah, which you need. I think that, probably something. Yeah, absolutely. I think probably that's something that has changed since you were a parent. Is mental health is something that is more prominent, not only for us as adults, but I'm in therapy and I ask my therapist all the time about this sort of stuff. Like we're supposed to say to our kids, like, I see you're having big feelings now. No parent in the late 80s, early 90s would have said that to their kids. They would have been like, shut up and get over it and go outside, right?
No, this is the world we live in. It's a difficult world to raise kids in.
Yeah, and it's vastly different from your first time around.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes. The term neurodiversity, I'd never heard that before I was raising these grandchildren.
Right.
Never.
And even I knew this was apparent when I shouldn't say apparent. I knew this was the case when I was talking to my parents. Because when we took our first baby class, it was like, don't sleep them on their stomach and make sure the crib, the bars are just this perfect width apart. And
yes.
And it was so different from my parents because they were like, oh yeah, we were told to sleep you on your stomach with a blanket so you wouldn't get cold. My mom smoked and the doctor said, if smoking helps you relax, and keep smoking. So just so different from where we are today. I imagine it's like a culture shock for you.
Yeah. And then take the fact that most grandparents raising grandchildren are 55 or older. So they're getting ready to retire. They've worked their whole lives to finally have this time in their life off, to spend their money the way they want to go out for dinner whenever they want to invite their friends over whenever they want to, and that's gone.
Yeah.
And you think that, this is what I thought, this is what a lot of people think, oh, these poor children, you bring them into a nice warm home and their life is just going to get better. Well, it doesn't work that way. This is like alien world to children that have gone through trauma. And so they come kicking and screaming. And suddenly, in my situation, I was 65 years old and I have 2 kids that are, quite frankly, what I thought was little monsters.
Yeah.
They had no boundaries, nothing. And they weren't even my biological grandchildren.
Oh, yeah, right.
We were a family put together and these were his son's children. So,
yeah.
And we'd just been married for 1.5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy world. But the story can have a silver lining.
Yes. And so this is the situation that you're in 2021, right? You start the podcast in 2023. Where in the chaos do you decide? Because I assume there's a little bit of culture shock, whatever, shell shock, that you're a parent again, right? You're raising kids again. You're trying to get that together. You mentioned you were 65, and I don't know if you were on the verge of retirement or certainly the income levels significantly changed, right?
Well, in my situation, I was an artist, but I had a business and my husband was retired when we met and I had to put everything down for the kids. They didn't even know how to play together and they were going through a lot of trauma. So I just stopped doing that and started taking care of them. And that was hard for me, but there have been many things along the process that were hard to do. But if you realize, okay, it would be like as if you lost a leg and then you had to figure out, or your eyes, and you had to figure out how to make your life work. So that's what we did. And I wanted to write about this. I wanted to find, it's sort of that feeling of when you get cancer, you suddenly want to talk to other people that have cancer because it changes your life. And when I saw the statistics, because I'm a researcher, I went, oh, who else is going through this? And I went, oh my gosh, 2.4 million people. That's like 1 out of every 10 people. I'm not a numbers person. So, but that's a lot of people in this country alone that are going through that. So I had to go to the digital world to find those people, to find a lot of the information. It was on the phone calling every single day for 6 months, on the phone trying to get them the health care they needed, realizing that it changed from state to state, learning a lot about the laws and how that worked in this country when it came to grandparents, because in our situation, grandparents had a lot of rights because of the state we were working in, but that's not the same in every state. So that was all a new awareness. And because grandparents that are in this situation are not, well, sometimes they're pretty digitally savvy. Sometimes, they're online with some social media, not everything. I went right to Facebook and found other groups of people that were dealing with that. And I did do what professionals told me was to do a survey. So I surveyed hundreds of people to find out what they needed and what they were looking for. And a podcast was a very viable solution. Even though I did also I became a network coordinator for a caregiving group in my area. But podcasts were something I listened to when I could in my own time. And you can do that with podcasts. So I thought, okay, now how do I do a podcast? How do you make that successful? Because I'd listened to good ones and bad ones. And you got to talk to professionals and you got to find people that are your match to work with, because it is a personable business. And I began doing that. And I found you because, I found Courtney.
Yes. Shout out to our friend Courtney Elmer. She's great.
Courtney and her group were the ones that helped me design the podcast. And as much as I went kicking and screaming about some of the ideas that they had, they were spot on. And so that's when I go, okay, I need to consult people that know better than I do. Sometimes I want to think that I know a lot more than I do. And then I heard Podmatch, I was connected with Podmatch.
Shout out to
Podmatch.
Alex. Yeah, lots of friends, lots of podcast friends mutually.
There is a very mutual group, wonderful group. And I listened to a podcast that you were on with Courtney and someone else. And I don't remember.
Vinny Potestivo, yeah.
Yeah. And I went, now that's a guy I can relate to. And of course, we're both from Jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm a Jersey girl originally. And I like to work with, you had a quality product that other people recommend. And I like you.
Well, thank you very much.
That sounds like an ad.
Yeah, right? That was like a cereal ad, right?
Yes.
Hey, Mikey, he likes it.
Hey, Mikey, he likes it. Yeah. Hey, Joe, he likes it.
Yeah.
And now still when I talk to you, I feel like I've talked to my long lost brother from another mother. So
thank you. I really appreciate it. People probably can't see this, but I'm about to blush. When someone rains a lot of compliments down on me, I just smile a lot.
Yeah, I don't take it too well either.
Yes.
That's okay.
A couple of things here, right? This is great. So I think being coachable is a really good quality to have. I think because I've tried to help people and they're just like, well, I want to do it this way. And I'm like, there's no reason that you shouldn't be paying me then. I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear. And I suspect Courtney and her team are the same way, right? They want you to have something good. You're going to get worse if you go on thinking, oh, well, what I'm doing is definitely right.
And Joe, you know what that's given me? In fact, I just got feedback from one of the companies that gives us stats on what position we play.
Oh, nice.
Where we stand in our rankings. And I'm number one in the top 3 categories I wanted to be in from the very beginning. And
that's awesome.
That speaks for people like you and Courtney and anybody else I've gotten advice from, because if I had done it the way I wanted to, it wouldn't be here. The show would not be on now.
Yeah. I obviously can't speak to that, but I can tell you that you have implemented things from the people that you hired and you're doing well, you're excelling. And that's awesome to hear.
From everything from the titling of the show to the structure of the show.
Yeah. Which is really important. Gosh, we could do a whole other episode on positioning, right?
And it's not that there are a lot of people out there that have great ideas.
Right.
Great ideas, shows that should have succeeded or they could do better. But if if you keep doing it the same old way and it's not working,
Right.
I'm not going to tell people how old I am because I like people to think I'm younger than I am. But at this point in my life, I have learned that wisdom, it counts for something.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I was in college, I was in computer science school when Facebook launched. And I went around saying I could have launched Facebook. I could have launched a website that functioned similarly to Facebook, but I wasn't willing to do what needed to be done to make Facebook, right? That's, say what you will about big tech companies, but you need to be a certain type of way and make certain sacrifices that I would not have been willing to make to do that. And so, yeah, there are a lot of great ideas, but it is in the implementation, in who you surround yourself with, and who you're willing to listen to. Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll link to Pod Launch, that's Courtney's company, in the show notes in the description for this episode over at streamlined.fm or wherever you're listening to. But when you came to me, your show had already launched and you hired me for my specialty, right? Which is around systems and processes. So tell me, what was your process like before, I guess tell the audience, because I know what your process was like before you hired me.
Well, I had hit a sticky point. When we all get there at different points in our careers, in our marriages, in our lives. And that's when the red light starts blinking and you go, you need help. You need help.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do this all by yourself. And what I needed at the time, and a lot more, but I had to, I'm solo and I don't have endless sources of funding. So I needed to be very careful about how I spent my money. And I knew that if I didn't get this part done, I was going to have a mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize when you start weighing things out where you go, okay, there's one thing, it's like getting somebody to come clean your house. I've never had anybody clean my house. I just recently met with a housekeeper because I realized I've bit off more than my chew. I now have my 88-year-old mother living with us as well.
Wow.
The one that you knew about, right?
Yes.
She's
that's
now
right.
here. She's been here almost 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I went, what's the one waste of my time right now? Do I want to spend more time with my mother, who is slowly, dementia is eating her brain? And do I want to spend the money doing that? Or do I want to, lose time with her that she really needs from me, or hire a housekeeper? So you were my housekeeper for the podcast.
Awesome.
And essentially, I had everything shoved into one closet that I was trying to do in terms of what is a waste of my time to spend. I could spend time just even having more time to think about the content of my podcast, because nobody else can do that but me. For the time being anyway. And so you came in and cleaned up my closet. And my closet was that I needed to streamline the part of my business that has to do with lining up speakers and sending out forms and getting responses and basically being my secretary, really.
Right.
You kind of helped set my digital secretary. And that, along with AI, has made my life so much better. And now I have more time with my family, which is really very important to me. Family is very important to me. And I don't have a lot of personal time. So that's what you did for me. You created a very neat closet secretary, and I knew you'd do it well. And my money was very well spent.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I wish I could clean my real closet. Yeah, I know, right? That was all off the cuff. I wish I could organize my real closet that way. But this is great, right? You touched on two really important things here, right? Because I'm like a modern male, but I still have the strong, I won't say gender role, but I feel like I, as a man, should mow my own lawn, right? Like that is something that I should do. But then I realized one day during the pandemic, when my wife was working as a nurse, that I didn't have the time I needed to mow the lawn. And when I got around to it 3 weeks later, after it rained, it took me nearly a whole day.
Same thing.
And so I hired somebody to mow my lawn once a week, every week in the spring, for $35 a week. And I never have to think about mowing my lawn. And so the time that I'm saving that I could spend in the business or with my kids, right? I never have to tell my kids, oh, I can't play right now because I have to mow the lawn, right?
And my brain doesn't work the same way as yours does, but all of the components that we need to put together what we're doing, there are different people that do different things better than we do. And I think it's important to utilize that if that's what you see. And I definitely saw that.
Yeah. To continue with the lawn mowing analogy, can I tell you that we have a shed in the back of our house. It's where I go. All my Yankee stuff is there and I'll smoke cigars back there. And I have a TV. But there's a small strip in the back and there's a fence and it's like just slightly too narrow to fit my lawnmower. And so I was like trying to shove my lawnmower back there. And the first time the guys mowed my lawn, they just took the weed whacker back there. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like it never occurred to me to do that because it's like weed whackers are for weed whacking. And I was like, I can't believe it.
Well, I think, that's one of the beautiful things about realizing that somebody else can do it better than you can.
Yeah.
Because we all can feel a little stupid about that stuff or think that we should be able to do it. Or I think, what Joe does, I could do that.
Right.
That's not that hard.
Yeah. And if you want to spend all of your time thinking about, right, like these guys mow multiple lawns per day, every day in the summer. And so they're obviously thinking about how can I noticed like over time, right? They would do my backyard one way and then the next time they would do it differently because they have optimized, right? They have to avoid a trampoline and a giant dirt hole in the middle of my backyard. When we let our kids dig because we feel like that's important, but also there's just a hole in my backyard now.
I feel that it's important to sit with my mother and cook chicken noodle soup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like we've delivered on this message, right?
I think the listeners are getting our point.
Yes, I think so. So when you came to me, you were doing a lot of things. I recall you were booking the call, doing the release, recording, editing, and then you would send it to the guest for approval, essentially, right? Are you still doing that? No,
it's all automated through Zapier and a bunch of names that I don't need to be familiar with because you are. But whatever you did, it's working.
One of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because I am really proud of the automation I built for you for this particular thing.
Should be.
Yeah. In part, I feel like, so I recommended cal.com to you, right?
Yes.
And this is the other part of it, right? Is that you were paying for a lot of software that you didn't need to pay for, I think, right?
Yeah. So I actually ended up saving money because you told me like, oh, you don't need, I'm not going to mention names of companies that I scaled back on.
Yeah.
But because who knows, they may be advertising with you. But it actually saved me money because I don't remember exactly how much I spent. Whatever it was worth it with you. But there were things I didn't need that I was spending money on. And then you would even advise me and went, you just try to buy a yearly access to that because it'll still be around. And if you don't need to spend money on that because you can go to this place and buy that on special when it comes around. And you knew all those worlds that I'm not familiar with. And so, yes, now I think I'm probably spending half a month of what I was before. So how long has it been? I know I need to hire you again, but it's been what? More than 6 months?
Yeah. It's been
maybe?
quite, something like that.
And I probably saved at least what I spent with you.
Yeah.
And my life is easier.
Well, and that's great, right? Because I think I think there's a big lesson here because I certainly get shiny object syndrome so much that like I made part of my business trying tools. Like I make content about that so that I could still try them. But for my core business processes, I'm very much like, if it ain't broke, right? If the thing that I'm using is not broken or the new thing doesn't vastly improve, then I don't need to switch.
And I knew I could trust that with you. I knew you weren't going to sell me something that I didn't need.
Yeah.
You were really good about that. And that
Thank you.
I value that a lot in the people that I work with and that I hire, even to fix the floor in my house. You know, I want to talk to somebody that isn't going to sell me something that doesn't really work for me and that I can't use.
Yeah. Thank you. And like, I know it's tough, right? Because like, affiliate programs have kind of ruined recommendations a little bit. And I participate in many, right? But I am also super clear and I will present multiple options. And I try to present at least one or two where I'm not an affiliate, right? I'm giving you what I think.
I will not sell a product I don't believe in.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Because that comes back at you.
Yeah, right. My brothers and I would always say word is bond, right? Like your word is bond. Your word has weight. And if people can't trust my word, then I've got nothing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's really important to me.
Honesty's everything.
Yes, I will use affiliate links, and I will even say, if you don't want to use it, chop this part off, or here's the non-affiliate link, right? Like I'm just doing it in case you want to, because I always ask for an affiliate link when someone recommends a tool to me. But the 5% that I'm going to make is not worth the hit in trust I'm taking, right? But all of this is to say that it's easy to get shiny object syndrome. And so I'm glad that we were really able to reduce your costs while making it easier. One of the reasons that your automation is a little more complicated, I feel silly about this, but I didn't realize that cal.com made a change between when I signed up and then when you signed up. And this was like not a very well publicized change. And so I ended up building that into the automation, and I monitored that for a while to make sure it worked. But yeah, everything seems to be working well.
Wow. Yes, everything's working great.
Yeah, awesome. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, first of all, we were able to eliminate parts of the process that you didn't have to do, right? Like sending the episode for approval. I'm glad that I was able to, or maybe that we were able to come to the agreement that most people are either not going to listen or not going to request changes, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, on the communication side of things, like using the scheduling link and getting
I get a reminder the day before.
Yes.
It reminds them, but it reminds me.
Right.
That they're going to be on the next day. So that's a really nice prep. It logs it into my calendar automatically. I don't have to do that myself. And on my recording software.
Oh, that was a thing, right? Because you have a separate email just for your podcast domain, but we also wanted to make sure it made it to your personal calendar, right?
Yes. It goes to lining up all my calendars. So I have, a personal calendar, my family calendar, my kids' calendar, my work calendar. And all of that's what part of the problem was. I was having to keep track of different calendars, and it was very confusing. And you simplified that process, which really made my life easier.
Yes. Well, calendars are like my love language. So you definitely found the right person there. If it's not on, like, my calendar is more set than stone for me. Like if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. So.
Right. It doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. My calendar crashed right before like a friend appointment I had, and I was 5 minutes late, and I was mortified. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, what? And I'm like, my calendar crashed, like my calendar app crashed. And I didn't get the notification, it's very intrusive on my computer so that I don't forget. And that just didn't show up. And I was like, you're fine.
I think I would fall apart. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. She's like, you're always on time. And I'm like, yes, always. I am always on time.
Well, and definitely if my computer world crashes, then that's my excuse.
Yep. Whenever, the AIs, the large language models, the chatbots have been going down a lot lately. And I just wonder, I'm like, how many people are unable to work right now because Claude or Gemini or whatever are down?
And that's just a fact. That's the future. No way of avoiding that.
Yeah. But to that end, right, I think like my audience knows that I'm pretty AI hesitant, but we did set up a few processes in a way that allows you to leverage AI in a way that I think is good, which is like processing information, right? Like taking a bunch of data and doing something with it.
Yes. When I pre-interview people, you helped me by using AI to basically, I reach out and ask AI if that person is a good fit for my show. And I use it that way. I definitely use AI, but I think we're all learning that there still need to be people behind certain aspects of the processing life that we live.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, which is like, I feel like it's a core tenet of your show, right? Like you're humans showing up for other humans and helping out and that's, AI can't replace that. So if we can use AI to allow us to do more of that, that's where I think the power is. I think people are abusing AI by using it to show up instead of them. And that's the problem.
Yeah, this is just a little aside. So, there's a lot of moralistic stuff that you have to cope with as a grandparent raising grandchildren. I actually now use AI to help me communicate with my daughter-in-law, who's the one that has ended up starting to show up for the kids.
Okay.
Because I get upset and angry. And so I'll write this letter in AI and I'll go, I want to send this to my daughter. What do you think? And AI will go, actually I'd tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be quite so angry. And then in another situation where I was working in a business relationship, I tend to be probably too understanding. I was telling you about this earlier, and I wrote a letter to the board of this particular organization, and it said, no, I think you need to stay really firm on this particular issue because otherwise this looks like you're treating it like a personal issue and they won't take you seriously. So I think I'm all for AI to be used along with.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a reactive. People in my public life probably don't believe this, but I can get a temper. Like I can get heated pretty quickly. I'm a very patient guy, especially when I'm helping.
You're Italian.
People. But
you're
yes,
supposed to be
we're very passionate, right?
Right.
And my coaching clients will see it, right? Yeah. If I feel like someone is screwing them, I get very angry on their behalf, right? But I can't write an angry email on their behalf, right? So usually I'll be like, this is what I want to say, all right? And I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, make me sound less like a jerk, right? Like
sound less like I'm Italian.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely helpful there. Like just a second set of eyes, right?
Make me sound like a poor white boy.
Please, sir. Yeah, so I love that. So now we've come out on the other side. You were feeling overwhelmed, worried about burnout. You have taken in multiple generations into your house at this point.
4 generations under one roof.
Maron. That's...
Maron.
Yeah, And so we went through this. As you've said, I helped save you money happily. I've helped save you a bunch of time. Where are you now with the show? Like, what are you spending your time on now? And what are you thinking about for the future?
Good question. I'm going through a transition right now because let's say I'm soon to launch my 100th episode. That will be coming up next month.
Yeah.
We've done over 10,000 downloads.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
And so it's become a personal thing to me now. And my listeners, got over 3,000 listeners, are becoming family to me. So I think I'm a little more relaxed about talking about I think about what really makes a show unique. And the people behind the show, the person behind the show, the hosts, I think if they've lasted a certain amount of time, you have to think about what sets you apart from everybody else and highlighting that. And then thinking more again about how can I do less of what doesn't serve me well, and more of me. So I'm thinking about those things now and starting to journal some pretty raw stuff about what this role is. For me, like people think I clean up good. People think, oh, she has a perfect life. She's figured it all out. 3.5 years of doing this and she's the perfect grandma. Wrong. Like I lose it just like everybody does.
Yeah.
And I probably need to pray more than I do. And I could say a lot of things that would make you realize that I'm a very real person. And just because I have a podcast and just because I've got 3,000 listeners, there's no such thing as being a success. It's real life. And now I think I want to talk about that more with my listeners and get them to be able to engage more because I think we need to hear it's community for me, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to not just give good advice out there, but to create a more intimate community. That's where I'm heading with my podcast.
I love that. Really important, right? Because I think people see like the Joe Rogans and the Call Her Daddy podcasts, and they're like, I want millions of listeners, right? But that's not where you make the impact. You make the impact, like you said, with community and
time, sticking with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Like if you believe in what you're doing, you'll always find a way. It isn't about whether podcasts come and go, whether they're trendy or not. This is an avenue of media that will be here to stay. How it evolves and how it changes is another thing, but it's a great way of getting a message there. If you believe in the message you're giving, it builds upon anything does, I think, with time.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to touch on something that you mentioned that you're thinking about, that I'd like to think that you have the space to think about this now, which is, people want to see the real, the raw. People love behind the scenes content. And I forget where I read this. Like, it could have been a Facebook post. It could have been like a philosophy book. I forget. But it was basically that, like, when we compare ourselves to people, we are comparing our worst thoughts to the best face that people are putting out in the world, right?
Yes.
And the truth is, like, my neighbor might think I'm a psychopath because we live in a twin, right? And there's no way she didn't hear me scream at my kids over the weekend because they let the dog eat chocolate, right? Yeah. Like, he's fine. But like, I'm like, gosh, she must think I'm crazy. But she had a kid, right? And he's an adult now, but like, she knows what it's like, and probably even more than me because she was a single mom for a while. So like, I think it's good to see the hard stuff because we all are human, and there is a community and a camaraderie, and it's nice to think that I'm not alone in this, because we're not alone in whatever we're doing.
Yeah. And Joe's brain is interesting. So that's really what your marketing is, Joe's brain. And what Joe loves to do. So I believe I do this. I work from home because I love what I do. I do this because I love doing it, not because I think, oh, it's a hot new thing out there. It's a hot topic, And from a technical standpoint, where I can say I'm going from here is because I care about my listeners. How can I reach more of them? So some people may think that's a monetary concern, but for me, marketing is about, if I believe I have a good product and I know other people need it, how do I get it to more of them? If that's what you want, like, that's the cool thing about podcasting, is that you can be one person. I don't have to physically be out there selling door to door. I'm selling door to door online. Maybe Joe has to figure out how Joe wants to have more work. What do you want? What are your goals and avenues? So thinking about technically for me, how I can reach more people and consulting with people that can help me with that. That's probably the next hire I'm doing.
Nice. That's great. And
because I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe's brain is interesting is something that's been said a lot about me, but probably not in the very nice way that you've said it. So
that's
thank
their
you
problem.
very much. Yes. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing and like saying a lot of nice things about me. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me on my podcast at grandparents-raising-grandchildren.org. And that'll give you all the rest of the social media information you need.
Awesome. Love that. If you are listening in a podcast player right now, just go ahead and search Grandparents Raising Grandchildren as well. I'll link to everything wherever you're listening to this. There will be links. So check those out as well.
If you're a grandparent raising grandchildren, we are the #1 podcast on Apple and Spotify and all the other sources.
I love that. And if you are very likely, if you're listening to this show, if you are a parent, tell your grandparents about this.
And it's not just for grandparents. I have to say, what we talk about is not just for grandparents.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. You have a unique lens. You have a unique perspective on raising children because you've now seen it over multiple generations.
I am now a modern parent.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. So like I mean, there's I get your newsletter, your podcast shows up in my podcast feed, and like, you're right? It is not above all things, but one of the big things is like raising kids is hard. Mm-hmm. And I like to tell people like, yeah, it's hard now. My wife always says to me, how did our parents do it? And I said, our parents didn't have to care about kids as much as we have to care about them now. Which is like, it's not a knock. It's just like, we have to be mindful of their feelings in a way that it's a
rainbow of diversity.
Yes.
That we're coping with and understanding. And if we want to raise healthy children, right, we want to be concerned about mental health of our kids and pass on a greater legacy, which is what I always talk about. Grandparents want to leave a legacy. And if you as parents want to leave legacies, you have to be aware and caring and concerned about a lot more things than our parents needed to be concerned
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been fantastic. It's always great talking to you.
Ditto.
And thank you for listening. Again, check out all of the show notes over at streamlined.fm. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your week.